Good morning and welcome to Life in Review. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. We've been talking a lot this year about finance, especially personal finance, and how we can teach our kids and our loved ones to have maybe a healthier look at our finances so that we all have a better future. On the phone with us this morning is Barbra O'Neill, Dr. Barbra O'Neill, actually. She's the owner and CEO of Money Talk, financial planning seminars and publications. And we are here to talk about Money Skill. It's a personal finance course, and we're all about learning about personal finance. Good morning, Dr. Barbra. How are you?
I'm great.
It's so
Looking
good.
forward to talking about personal finance.
Oh, it's so good to have you here. I told you, we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the American Financial Services Association Education Foundation. They're actively promoting this incredible free online personal finance course. It's called Money Skill, and I'm so excited about it because I run a program, a summer program for girls every summer, and personal finance is one of the things we talk about. So I can't wait to use this one this summer for the girls as we teach them how to be responsible and really, really learn about money. So let's talk all about this Money Skill program, what it is, and how you benefit from it.
Okay, well, it's a series of modules, and a module is a content area, and it covers all the basics of personal finance: budgeting, savings, credit. Buying a car, of course, is important to a lot of teens, so it covers that as well. And then also very timely kind of niche topics like student loans and identity theft. So it really just covers all of the topics that a young adult would need to know about personal finance. It's an online course. It's completely customizable for whoever might be using it, and it could be a high school. You know, the primary audience is high school and college students, but middle school teachers are also using it, and there's 12 modules of the 37 that are particularly designed for middle school as well. And a lot of youth organizations are using it as well. So it's out there. It's a resource for anybody who wants to teach personal finance to young adults.
Now, what are some of the things that we're going to find in this Money Skill course?
It's a lot of real life in there, and I think that's so important because we need to prepare young adults for all the decisions they're going to need to face. So each module has real-life examples, kind of little case studies. Some of them involve analysis. Some of them involve math calculations. A lot of them are really in there to show students what happens when you make bad decisions, because you actually model it out and you say, oh, I don't know if I want to be owing all that money at the end of, college or paying that much on a credit card. So it's really designed to just teach students about real life and some of the things that they're going to be facing. And at the end of each module, there's a series of 10 questions. So there's a measure of how much they've learned and retained from the content. And really, it's all about application because a lot of this content that young adults are going to get, teens in high school, it may not really kick in until they're older, but if they can remember key concepts, things like pay yourself first, the importance of saving, compound interest, so they can see how money can grow if you start saving at a really early age. Those are kind of like key concepts that will stick with people throughout their entire life and really make a difference in how much money they might have, 40 years down in the future.
Now, I know that pay yourself first is a common phrase. Tell me what that really means.
Well, what it really means is you make yourself a priority and you set aside some money before it gets spent. And the best way to do it is automatically, having it taken out of a paycheck, like a 401k plan, something of that sort, so that it gets done on a routine basis. But it's just really making sure that money gets into savings and not wait until the end of the month and finding out there's no money left.
Okay, so yeah, having it automatically taken out does help, and it kind of forces you to get into the habit. But how do you keep yourself from going and getting that money in a savings account, especially for a young person? They're like, oh, I got $1,000 saved over here, and I really want to go snowboarding.
Well, it depends what they're saving for. If they're saving for a short-term goal and snowboarding is that short-term goal, then spend the money and go snowboarding because you've met your goal. But if it's something more long-term, a lot of it is just locking that money up There's a lot of behavioral finance that talks about mental accounting, and if people can think about money in different accounts, and they're less likely to touch the long-term money than the short-term money. And those are the kinds of things that Money Skill and other personal finance courses are teaching is future-mindedness, the importance of looking ahead, setting a goal, taking the steps to reach that goal. Those are just important life lessons that will stick with people for a long time.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you find that people either make or beliefs that they have about money that can help someone change right now their view of money?
Well, I think a lot of people just think that they can't save, and a lot of the financial information is above them, oh, that's for rich people, that sort of thing. And I think the message that courses like Money Skill can really get across to people is that you can do it. You can start small. You can do something. You can improve your life. In fact, what we found with the research with Money Skill is that the greatest effects as far as knowledge gain were on the students from the least advantaged backgrounds. So these are students who maybe didn't have role models to kind of show them the importance of savings. Maybe they came from families that are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling. And yet, seeing that there's another way to manage money, that can be a priceless kind of gift to somebody, just empowering them. So financial education is a lot more than just the knowledge. The knowledge is important, knowing how to put together a budget or APRs on credit cards. Those are all important. But it's also the empowerment, the aspirations, the future-mindedness. That's also being taught in these courses. And Money Skill has a lot of that embedded in, just in the little scenarios that are in each of the modules.
Now, I know that there's 37 different modules. If you only had to pick 5 and it was somebody, that you cared about, which 5 would you say, of all these, watch these?
Well, I think identity theft would be one just because it's so rampant and students really need to know about that. Probably vehicle financing. Well, there's vehicle financing and operating a vehicle, but certainly, and then preparing to acquire a vehicle. I think those are all important because that's where students are going to have their heads at. They want to buy that car. Income taxes, of course, is important. People need to know how to prepare income taxes. They'll need to do that for the rest of their lives. Let's see, credit cards. Probably that's an important one, and health insurance. But they're all important. Those are probably the ones that I think about as either being really important to students or being things that they'll have to make decisions on pretty quickly once they leave school.
Also, could you give us a website where people could go for more information and where people like me who have groups of youth every summer and different seminars throughout the year can go to acquire these modules so that we can help make better financial futures for students?
Absolutely. So it's a very easy website. It's www.moneyskill, all one word, so MONEYSKILL.org. And then once you get to the website, what you'll want to do is go to the instructors button. You'll get information. And even if you're not an instructor, maybe you're just an interested person or a parent that wants to take a look at it, you still go to the instructors button, get information. There'll be a short registration form. And there's also a link there where you can just test drive the platform, and you can look at the different modules and pick out the ones that are of most interest to you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for putting this all together. I look forward to passing this kind of information on. Moneyskill.org. Dr. Barbra O'Neill, thank you so much for being a part of Money Talk, and please come back anytime you have anything to share with us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a beautiful day.
You too.
Well, with all the things going on around the world, a lot of people are without a job. And now that could trickle into some other things that are really tragic. Like maybe you're losing your health insurance, and that health insurance may have included the whole family. I tell you what, there's so many things to think about during this current crisis that we are all facing. Over 36 million Americans have filed for unemployment. It's unprecedented, never seen in history. And a lot of people who have lost their jobs are now facing the fact that they might be losing their health insurance. What are you going to do, especially if your whole family was covered on that insurance? It's got to be stressful. I know it's stressful. It's stressful just the situation we're all in. But the thought of losing your health insurance adds a whole nother layer of stress to what we're all going through. On the phone with us today, Holly Phillips. Dr. Holly Phillips is medical expert, and we're going to be talking about some options that you might have in the event that you could be losing or have already lost your health insurance from your job. Good morning, Dr. Holly.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh,
and I just have to echo your sentiments. It's such a hard time where, on top of all that we're dealing with just with the virus itself, we have this issue of kind of collateral damage where up to 35 million Americans could be dropped from their health insurance. And this is, of course, the time when we need it most. So it's so important to look at all of our options.
So let's start talking about that. What are some of the options? Because I know that they're doing their best to help out with, the extra money on the unemployment checks, but that's often not enough to cover, what do they call, what's that thing called when you lose your job and then COBRA. There it is. I knew there was some kind of animal name for it. COBRA, where they're like, oh, yeah.
I was just
go ahead.
Absolutely. I was just about to bring that one up. So COBRA is an option to maintain the same health insurance after you've lost your job. It's formally known as the COBRA Act. And it can cover, you can keep your same health insurance plan for up to 18 months after being laid off. It has good aspects. One of them is just the stability and continuity, right? You get to keep your same insurance and your same doctor, but it also has tricky aspects. One of the most important is that it's probably the most expensive option. Whereas ordinarily, if you're employed, your employer will share the cost of the premium of the insurance with you. If you're using COBRA, often you as the individual are responsible for the entire premium cost, and that can cause certainly some sticker shock. But it is one way to maintain your insurance if you've lost your job.
Yeah, it's very, very expensive. I can tell you that from personal experience. Most people, especially if you're relying on that unemployment income, you're not going to be able to afford it.
Absolutely not. But, there are some other options which are less expensive, thankfully. I think one of the most important to kind of zone in on, one of the most important options are these Affordable Care Act marketplaces. Of course, they're better known as Obamacare, but they allow you to shop for different plans that can suit your needs and specifically your level of income. They also offer subsidies that can put caps on your premiums if your income is low enough. So if you suddenly find yourself jobless, truly an Obamacare policy can be one of your least expensive options. The catch there, though, is that not all of the states have reopened their enrollment windows. Right, enrollment usually happens at November 1st, between November 1st and November 15th. That's really a long time from now. Now, 12 states, given the crisis that we're in, have said, okay, we're going to open up our enrollment and you can sign up now. 38 states still haven't. So we're really hoping that those states will follow suit, or there will be some federal guidelines encouraging them to open up those exchanges.
Now, when you're talking about some of these exchanges that normally are open in November, would it be the exact same kind of thing? And can you use, let's say, I don't know for sure, is anything in insurance a write-off? Your payments for insurance, like if your employer used to pay for it, now you have to pay for it. Is there any way that is going to reflect on your taxes eventually for the cost of the health insurance?
Right. I do think that tax ramifications around insurance are so dauntingly complicated and individual. It's hard to kind of make a blanket statement. I do think we're going to see some lessening of the regulations around having to maintain insurance, certainly in this crisis, but we want to see people have insurance. It would be great if the healthcare exchanges themselves could offer broadened coverage, a broadened list of plans, even lower priced plans, given the situation right now.
Yeah, because let's say if your typical household, let's say somebody makes the $600 a week that they're talking about, that's 6 times 4 is 2,400. And then if you got anything from unemployment, that number could go up. And if you multiply that over several months, you can actually put yourself above what the general cap is for being able to qualify for some of the state programs.
Right. It really is a very difficult kind of catch-22. I do think some of these complicated issues may be helped in part by the CARES Act. Now, we know the CARES Act really did provide critical support for our healthcare industry, particularly the hospitals, ERs, urgent care centers, both with human resources and physical resources. And also, one of the really important things that the CARES Act did was to expand access to telehealth. That's when you can call your doctor on the telephone or talk to them over the internet. For people who had high deductible plans, many of them couldn't really access those services until they reached the deductible. The CARES Act is lessening some of that pressure. And it's also expanding access to COVID-19 testing for people who have Medicare. They can access COVID-19 testing at no cost, and for some uninsured people under Medicaid. But we really do need to see a broadening of support. But the CARES Act is a good start.
And where could people go for more information to find out, some possibilities that they may have if they are losing their health insurance?
Sure. Well, on our website, rxsaver.com, we have more information on both accessing healthcare coverage and saving on prescriptions. RxSaver is a prescription app. It's a prescription tool where you can download an app or go online to find coupons and save up to 80% on your prescription medications. It shows you all the prices at the pharmacies near you, so you can choose the lowest prices.
And that could come in very handy at this time.
Very much so.
Okay, one more time, the website.
It is rxsaver.com.
All right, Dr. Holly Phillips, thank you so much for being with us. And if you have any more information, please come back and see us.
Great. Thank you so much.
Stick around. We got a really interesting subject coming up. Do you love your dog? Do you love your cat? Do you wish it could last forever? Well, if you got enough money, it can. We'll talk about all that next.